Hey everybody, it's Soaping Sunday, and today we are going to talk about packaging soaps. And I am so excited to share what I'm planning to do for packaging for my soap line that's going to be launched here in the near future. So I wanted to tell you guys, I have been dreaming about what I want my soap packaging to look like. I have this idea in my head, and I have been working for months trying to make that vision in my head come to fruition. And I was thinking, oh, that won't be hard to do. But in actuality, actually getting packaging that'll actually stay flat, the material being the right material, getting the font correct, getting everything lined up and fitting on the bars, that has been a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to show you the different stages that I've gone through and the different trials and errors that I've tried, what worked, what didn't work, and how I came to the conclusion of the type of packaging I'm going with. So join me on this packaging journey. So I have 3 soaps that I am creating packages for. I have a small circular bar, I have a sunflower bar of soap, and then I have a rectangular soap that has designs. Now these are 3 different sizes, 3 different shapes that I need to accommodate for with my packaging. And so I have the basic design idea that I want, but now I need to actually finish this design. So I'm going to be getting on the computer and I'm going to be showing you how I'm designing it. I've had many trials and many fails, and today I am making this happen. This is going to happen, and I'm going to bring you along with me on this. Let me show you some pictures of different ones I've made in the past, because as I've shared these soaps with friends and families, I've put packaging on them with my ingredients listed so that way they know what they're trying, what ingredients are in there, to be sure they're not sensitive to anything I'm putting in there. And so each package has been a little bit different, trying different things. So I knew right from the get-go that with my farm being called Just One More Story Farm, because my kids and I, we love reading books, we love stories, and our animals are named after story characters, and so I want to stick with the theme of books. And so I want my packaging to make my soaps look like they are little books. So my first tries at packaging, I made little printed out on white computer paper, Just One More Story Farm logo with luxurious soap, 5.5 ounces, the ingredients listed on there, and I wanted it to be like a book jacket. Now the problem that I ran into is that paper folded around a bar of soap does not stay flush with the soap. It pops open on the top and then it doesn't stay on because it's not actually wrapped around, it's not taped in place. But I didn't want the outer edge to be taped or covered up because I wanted it to have that open book feel to it. So that was my dilemma, was how do I keep that to look like a book without the paper popping up? Now I thought about doing like cardboard, but even cardboard was gonna pop up without some sort of packaging to hold it in place. So I experimented with different things to hold that in place. Everything from twine, elastics, ribbons. I even tried using pieces of paper that I taped in place to almost act as like a book binding to hold it in place. I experimented with putting pictures of like a little lock, like it's a little diary, like with a lock on it. And I tried using thicker paper like cardstock, hoping maybe the heavier cardstock would stay in place better once I folded it around my soap. And yes, I did like the feel of the cardstock better. It felt sturdier, felt like a better packaging. However, it still popped up without anything holding it in place. Now I really wanted little bookmarks on my books just sticking out the top, so I thought maybe if I wrap the ribbon around the bottom and have the little bookmark coming out the top, that would kind of hold it in place. Unfortunately, it still popped open even with that just the ribbon and paper was flexible enough that it would still pop up at the top. So I really liked the look of the little bookmark though. So I kept working on it. I kept getting feedback from friends and family on the packaging, and everyone liked the concept of the cute little book and the little bookmark, and gave me some ideas of different things I could try. And so I've been continuing to try different things, and I finally have decided on what I think is going to work. I just need to make sure it's gonna work with my largest bar of soap. So I made a smaller version because before I was making smaller rectangular soaps, and so this is the smaller jacket for a smaller soap, but I want to make a bigger version and see if it actually works on my big soap, because my plan is to have this little bookmark, have my logo, the name, the fact that it is soap. I want it to have a book binding that has the title of the book, in this case, A Little Goat's Adventure. Now the different types of soaps will have a different book title. The back, I want to have the list of ingredients as well as the directions on there. Now I think it's going to work putting a ribbon horizontally rather than using the bookmark to take it vertically, because that didn't work. But I think that once sized correctly, because this soap is too big for this book jacket, but let's tie it and try it out. Now this is working to keep this closed, which I like. I like that I can stand the soap up. I do want this to cover the entire soap so that it's fully covered, so that it looks more like a book where you wouldn't see these internal pages. You would just see the cover of the book. I wanted this ribbon tied on the side to be hidden so that you didn't see it from the front. So I'm gonna play around with different sizes. It was a little bit hard to tie it with the shorter ties. But I want this to be something that if I sell this in person at a craft show or at a farmer's market, that someone could take a look at the package of the soap, but also could slide the soap out to look at the actual soap. So I don't want the tie to be too tight. But I'm also thinking about maybe doing tie a bow, so that way if they wanted to just untie it, look at the soap and tie it back together, that's an option as well. Because I do want them to be able to see what they're purchasing, to be able to look inside of it. Or if they chose the scent that they wanted to buy, but they wanted to make sure the design was what they're looking for, that they could just undo the bow and open the jacket to take a look inside at both the front and the back. So that's what I have decided on. I just need to make it happen in the right size for each of the 3 soaps that I make. And I have to decide, do I keep the circular soaps in a square or rectangle packaging, or should I cut it out to make it into a circle packaging? So I'm gonna try out different options and see what looks best. And yes, I could have done this all on my own off camera, but I've been bringing you along for this entire journey, and I want you to be here with me when I create what's gonna be the actual design and finished product for these soaps. Now I have been playing around and trying to make the right size to fit on these bars, and designing it with fonts that I want and what I want to have on the labels, and it's coming along. I do like the cardstock more than just computer paper. Currently I have a black and white printer only, and so in the future I'd love to play with some more colors potentially in my ink for printing purposes, but that's something that I can invest in the future. For now I'm trying to keep my costs down lower, and I was able to buy a 50 sheet package from Michaels of this cardstock, and it was affordable. And I really like the teal color with the yellow ribbon. I do have different ribbon options that I've been playing with. And I want to play with different color cardstocks with ribbons as well to help differentiate between the different types of soaps or the different scents. So it's so exciting to play around with all these different ideas. And of course, this is just my very first designs for the soap. I'm sure that with time the business is going to change and evolve, and my packaging will change and evolve, but I'm really excited about the first dive into packaging for soaps for sale for our new soap business. And then I was using scissors to cut out the little soap jackets, and I quickly realized how hard it was to make nice lines with scissors because there's no dotted lines to cut along. And so I invested in one of these paper cutters that allows you to score the cardstock before trimming it, just to make sure that you have the correct cutting line, and then you can cut it. And I really liked this at first, but I am finding that it got dull really quick when cutting with this here, and it's starting to tear it. So honestly, I'm looking to invest into one of those larger paper cutters with the big machete cutter to use to cut these, because I'm gonna have to cut a lot of cardstock just to wrap all these soaps I currently have created. And with this already starting to tear it after using it only a few times, it doesn't make sense to me to just keep replacing the blades in here. So I'm currently looking to invest into a more expensive and better quality paper cutter. If you see here, this corner got torn when I went to go try to cut it with this cutter. And we can't have that in our final products when we go to sell these, so we'll see. Now, as far as the ribbon, I did use double-sided tape to fasten the string, and it's really holding up well, but I am going to experiment with using different types of glue, maybe a hot glue gun, depending, just to see different sturdiness qualities and how it looks, to get the most professional looking look for the packaging, but also keeping it affordable. Okay, so let's jump onto the computer. I'm gonna show you the program that I'm using to make these designs, and we are going to get our sizes down and get these designed and see if we can get some final packaging made. Okay, so the website that I've been using to create my designs is canva.com, so canva.com. So I love using Canva to make my thumbnails for my YouTube videos. I can do all the designs on here, but I also have been using it to do different designs for my soap packaging and playing around with different ideas and seeing how many labels I can fit on one page, because I want to utilize as much of the page as possible. Now this here, where I was making 3 at a time, was for my smaller size rectangle soap that I was making, but because I am now making a soap jacket for a larger bar of soap that's taller, I have to come up with a new template. And so I tried making the template in a landscape format instead of a portrait, in the hopes that I could fit 4 soap package labels on one sheet of paper, because I was hoping to be able to make 4 soaps out of this cardstock. But after continuing to try to make it work, I realized that this was not going to happen. It just was too tight of a space because of the margins that are set in place when printing. So this did not work. So the nice part about Canva is you can click create a design, and they give you so many different options. So when I'm making a YouTube thumbnail, this is what I click, YouTube thumbnail, to be able to make the correct size. But for creating my soap packaging, I am working with standard size paper, cardstock, your typical 8x11 inch. And so for that, when I was trying to do the landscape, where the paper is printed in a landscape direction rather than a portrait, I had chosen to do the US letter landscape. So if you are doing packaging where you could fit 4 small soap packages in a landscape position, then that's gonna be the way to go. For me, after doing some trial and error, I'm realizing that for this larger rectangular soap, because of the height of it, I can only fit 2 jackets on 1 page. So the design that I'm using is the US letter, and I'm doing it in landscape. So that's 11 by 8.5 inches, which is your standard paper size. And so if you clicked on that, it would bring up this here. And if you look, there is a ruler here and a ruler here, because knowing the size of your soap, I am just using the free version of Canva. Whereas if you use the paid version, you get a lot more features with it. Anywhere that you see a crown means that you have to pay for that version to use it on Canva. So the resize button would be really nice to be able to do custom sizes for your soap packaging. Because I'm just using the free version, I do have to use this ruler and measure everything out by this ruler to make it fit, and then I'll print out what I think is gonna work and make any adjustments after checking it with my actual soap. And so it's a little bit more work, but I'm not in the position right now where I want to pay to use Canva. Maybe in the future, after my business takes off, it's something that I will invest in, because I do think it's a really awesome app. There's so many things that you can do with it. Until then, I am going to use this. If you pull this up and you don't have the ruler on the sides, which was the case with me originally when I started doing this, you go to File, you go to View Settings, and just check off Show Ruler and Guides, right, which mine is already checked off. I have them already, but if it wasn't checked off and you don't have them, you just click that, check mark will show up, and the rulers will pop up. And that will help you out with making the designs. Now, because I already started making it this way, I realized it wasn't going to fit with 2 of them here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take what I started, I'm gonna move it down and stretch this one out so I have more space to work with. So this is gonna come down here, and this is gonna come down here, as well as this. Now on your soap, there's going to be things that you are required to have on your soap label, and so that can certainly vary depending on where you live. And this is not something that I am an expert in. This is just, I am putting on my label things that I have read in my research that are required on a label, which would be the name of the company, the amount of soap, the fact that it is soap, company information, like website information, where it's made, directions, but especially listing the ingredients. Now, I did read that when listing ingredients that you put the name of the ingredient. Now, even though I use organic coconut oil and organic olive oil, organic castor oil, from what I read, you're not supposed to put organic in the label. You're supposed to put stars, and then right at the bottom, if it's USDA certified organic for the United States. Now, if it's not USDA certified organic, then you're not supposed to put that it's organic from what I read. So like my raw shea butter is not produced in the United States. It does not have a USDA certification organic on it. It does say organic, but I'm not putting a star on there because it's not USDA certified organic. And so not only researching online what's supposed to be on the label, but also looking at other soap labels and what they have listed on there, and going to my local Whole Foods grocery store and seeing what those soaps include on their labels, and trying just to make sure that I am including all the pertinent information on there. And the nice thing about making the labels myself here on Canva is if I find out I need something else on the label, or when I need to change the ounces of the amount of soap, or if any ingredients are different, or when I do different scents, I can just customize it as needed and print it at home. And that's why I decided not to do outsourced printing, is because I want to be able, especially in the beginning, to be able to make all these adjustments as needed, because there's no way that I'm going to get it right the first time, and I didn't want to have to order in advance all these different printouts and then have it be the wrong size, or have the wrong information, or I didn't put the correct essential oil combinations for the amount that I have already made. So to keep things as simple as possible in the beginning of this business, I am going to make these myself, and I'm gonna get rid of these, and I'm gonna space this out some more, because I am worried about this margin here, this print off margin. I want to make sure that I'm going to have enough room for my soaps, and that's where this is going to come in. Okay, so the height of my bar, I want my jacket to be 3 3/4 inches. So I've got up here about a 1/4 inch margin at the top, and then down here, this is at 3 1/2, and then I want it to be 3 3/4, and so that gives me a 1/4 inch margin at the bottom to match the top. So I'm happy with that. I want to make sure that this is in the center of my packaging, and that this and this is at the same height for symmetry. I can put this just a little higher to give this a bit more space on the top and the bottom. Okay, so I like the look of that. I believe all my dimensions are correct, but we won't know until we print it out and try it. But I want this now to match down here so that I can get 2 jackets out of it. So I'll be able to match these up here and match this here. So this is at just right there, and then I gotta move this over to match. And then this is gonna move up. This is gonna move down to be in line with that. This is gonna move down. Ooh, and I'd like to move it over just a little bit, and move this just a little bit. So little tweaks here and there to try to get everything lined up. Okay, so this here I want a 1/4 inch from the top, which puts us with the top of it starting at the 4 inch mark here, and then size wise working our way down for the full 3 3/4 inches would put us at 1, 2, 3 3/4. So let's see where this ends up. This ends up at 3 1/2, and then so for the 3 3/4 we got that little 1/4 inch at the bottom here, and then we would cut off the remainder. So let's print this as is and see what the fit looks like. So in order to do that, I gotta give it a name. This is the first trial, so we're gonna download it as a PNG. I'm gonna click download. Now once it's downloaded, I can open it up, and then from there I can print it. Okay, so the good news is this did print the entirety of it. So it does print past the margins that show up when you click margin, this smaller square. It does print the full amount, so that's good. As far as sizing, size-wise, it does look like it's going to fit, but let's get this cut out and we'll see what we've got here. Alright, let's see if this fits. So it seems to be an exact fit. So I do want to actually make it just a little bit taller. I do want the cover to have a little bit more height than the actual bar, just to give it a little bit more coverage. I do like that it has the overhang here because I want the ribbon to be hidden within, so you don't see the ribbon from the front. Now, as far as the edges, I like the spine, and then the back. Back looks nice. All right, so let's see if I can cut the next one just to be a little bit taller. Okay, so this is the next one. Let's see how this one looks, being a little bit taller at 3 3/4 inch. I like that it has a bit of a lip here. That's preferable to me. And then I've got coverage here for the bow. I like that I can see the line here for the spine on each side. So I'm able to get it to the correct size, so that's good. All right, I just printed it. It looks so nice. I like how that looks. I feel like I need to score the edges though to make it sit better because there's still quite a gap. This comes with a scoring mechanism so I can make a crease. So it's really hard to see on the black, but it is scored. I'm gonna try to bend it there, and then the same with here. Gonna try to bend it on the score line and just see if that makes for a better fit. Yes, that looks so much better with it scored like that. Nice clean book edges. All right, now let's see if with a ribbon, if this will stay closed. All right, we're gonna do a yellow ribbon. So a yellow ribbon, and for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna just tape it for now. I like to make a pointed edge for the bookmark. So it has that little bookmark sticking out. All right, so I've got that taped in place. Now let's see if I can tie this. So I think it looks pretty with the knot. I do want to shorten these though because I don't like them sticking out the top and the bottom. Like that. But I love how this looks. It does look like a little book with a little bookmark. Now with one of my soaps, I did score the sides of the soap to make it look like book pages. So I'm not sure if I want to keep smooth edges or if I want to score these edges to make it look more like a book. So I'm going to try out some different options with that. But overall, I really like how this looks. Okay, so let's do 2 more packages and see what we get. All right, so because I'm going to be using a lot of the same stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click down here at Add Page. So that way I am using the same print letterhead, same margins, and it's right below so that I can copy and paste. So we're just going to move a little bit at a time. Sometimes your image will be at the forefront and you need to move it back. So you can click on the dot 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 and go to layer, and you can send it to the back. And so see how now you can see the logo, but it's sent to the back. So the white border is behind this information here. So that works out good for that. We're making this for the sunflower. So for the sunflower, this could be a garden adventure. Now I wonder if it'll let me do that and just move that down. Okay, so we've got everything in the correct dimensions. However, I want this to be a circular soap jacket. All right. All right, let's see if this works. Looks nice. So the question is, for the sunflower soap, should I do it in a yellow color instead of the teal? I think that would look really nice. But size-wise, I think we're good there. And we would just have to tie our little bow here, put a little bookmark. I wish this was printer size. I'm wondering if I can still use it in the printer if I cut it to the appropriate size. Okay, the paper got jammed, so note to self, do not buy 12 by 12 cardstock. Make sure to get 8 by 11 printer size cardstock because it doesn't work in my printer. So we're gonna go with blue. Okay, so I scored the sides, folded them over. I do like the circular book idea here. I just wish I didn't have to hand cut here, so I'm gonna look into options for that to make a nicer cut and see what I can find in that department. I may have to invest in a Cricut printer or something like that as an option, but I'm gonna make a little bookmark and a side tie. Okay, so we've got the little bookmark, we got the tie on the side. I do prefer the contrast of colors with the yellow bookmark to this one here, but I think it'll look nice in yellow with the blue contrast. So it is more time consuming cutting out these circular ones, so the question is it worth making a circular book jacket? Or do the round soaps look just as good in a rectangular book? So placing the smaller soap in a square book gives you a nice thick bar of soap, a little circle on the back. So I think that looks nice. Okay, so there you have it. This is the design for my goat surprise soap, and honestly I love this. I really like this rectangular shape. It looks like a little book with its little bookmark. It has all the ingredients and everything on here that I was hoping to fit, so I'm really happy with how this turned out. As for these two, I really like the little square book for this. For the sunflower though, I'm not loving this round shape. So I think I'm going to make a square book jacket for this one to give it a cleaner, more book-like look and to go along with the other two. But I do want different colors for the different types of soap to differentiate. So I will be picking up some other cardstock colors and some different ribbons too, so I can alternate those. So if you're planning to design your own soap packaging, definitely check out Canva. Since it's free, it's got a lot of awesome features on there that you can use. And I love feedback. I would love to hear what you think about these packages and any suggestions you have. And as always, if I make any changes, I will update you in another video. Oh, and I'm also going to potentially put some lines on here to make these look more like a book with paper lines on here. So I'm going to try that out and see how that ends up looking. Ooh, I like it. All right, so if you're looking at the book and you look at the top, it actually looks like it is pages of a book. Even the color, it reminds me of like an older weathered book that is a little yellowed on the pages, so I did all the different sides. I think it looks so cool. I'm going with that. I really like it. I like the authentic book look. So thank you for hanging out with me today. And as always, if you haven't started soaping yet, what are you waiting for? Get your soap on.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want to farm? A wicked awesome farm. Watch this channel to learn what to do. We love to farm and we'll show you. Yeah.